Welcome back to Dark Nexus. Tonight, it's Act 3, Chapter 121. All folk dream, but not equally. Those who dream only in the dusty recesses of their minds wake in the day to find it was all vanity. But the other kind of dreamers are dangerous, for they may enact their dreams into the waking world. This you did. It is the early morning of the 14th of Chthona. The battle against Captain Vedrak and his crew has ended, but the situation is still a bit in progress here. We remain in the yellow mists that followed the Bloodwind to the material plane. I mean, they're slowly starting to thin, but we're still in them. 4 blue-skinned Dilath-lean mercenaries lie slaughtered on the deck of the Starling. Daggerbotha's corpse lies inside the main cabin near Barnabas, Nixon, and Stasi. And the pile of equipment left behind when Vedrak evaporated lies at Vic, Grip, and Dabwick's feet on top of the cabin. All of those foes may be dead or destroyed, and you may have claimed your third gift for the mad poet, Captain Vedrak's tricorn hat. Congratulations. But this fight has taken its toll. 6 points of dexterity drain for Vic. 6 points of constitution drain for Skywin. Gripper is still sitting on 3 points of charisma damage. The sight of Vedrak drove Skywin, Barnabas, and Nixon mad with night terrors, melancholia, and a phobia. And nobody in the main party is sitting on less than 5 points of sanity damage right now. This was a brutal encounter and one that's likely to haunt this crew for a long time. And again, it's not exactly over depending on what it is you want to do next, because you still have the Bloodwind to deal with. That horrific, bulbous, elephantine figurehead had been bellowing bloody murder to the skies for the last half minute or so, but within seconds of Vedrak's vanishing, the howling completely stops. Nobody at the present moment can see it. Even Dora and Skywin, who are up near the front of the Starling at the starboard rail, looking over this narrow gap to the vine-choked deck of the Bloodwind. Thank you, Dabwick. Dora can see some hatches beneath all of the vines, and she can just make out a ship's ladder leading to whatever lies below decks on the Bloodwind. But those two can't see much more than about the middle third of this very lengthy long ship. What do y'all do? Do we have a team at a box still? Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Want to start with that, Katie?
Yes. Dora returns.
All right. What is the plan next?
Okay, well, Dora will get Skywin into the cabin and try to congregate everyone.
Easily done.
And then put it out there. She has no idea about people's sanity damage. People are immediately struggling with having lost their minds. So she's like...
Well, she can see it in their faces.
Yeah, well, she comes in and says, "Should I try to detect thoughts on the ship?" Knowing full well that sometimes when she's done that, it's driven her completely insane. And she is understandably cautious.
That thing is alive?
Did you not hear... Dabs, what do you think?
The group of you up top heading down to join the cluster inside.
Yeah, Nixon is going to be grabbing items and stuff and dragging them with him. He's moving really erratically and kind of like stiff.
Yeah, he spent a lot of that fight bouncing off of walls.
Grip might, before he moves, might investigate the pile of stuff that fell with Vedrak.
Up top, Vedrak left behind a suit of black studded leather that's probably denizen of Langflesh, a scimitar, and then a series of pouches on a very fine black leather belt. Down in the hold, Daggerbotha is wearing a coral blue headband, has this masterwork trident that's just like the electricity is just like fizzling out as he has passed. And then he's got a pouch as well that looks like it has some stuff in it. And then, of course, there are some mercenaries lying about. They're all wearing very fine half plate, and they all have masterwork weaponry and very nice cloaks. So easy enough for those folks up top to grab the shit that Phaedrak left behind and bring it down below if you wish.
Grip, will you give me a hand with any of this?
Hey,
Can Dabwick dismiss the vines on the Bloodwind?
Standard action, zoom. No longer vines on the Bloodwind, and you hear a low howl of indignation, a low feline howl of indignation come from way at the back of the Bloodwind where nobody can currently see.
Phaedrak's familiar.
oh, what was this familiar?
I think it's a cat.
You have periodically over the last 4 episodes, every once in a while, someone has heard a cat mewing.
It got caught in the entanglement
Yes.
right away. It's like,
Right.
Immediately, and may have gotten stuck there the whole fight and has not yet moved.
Grip is also eyeing the Bloodwind, trying to suss out if living ships will burn. Because he thinks maybe just burning the ship is the best thing to do.
It certainly appears to be made out of wood, out of the darkest ebony.
So we're all down in the hold now?
All down in the hold.
Hey, so what's the plan? Are we gonna try to take over the ship?
What are people's thoughts? Stasi looks at all of you and then looks at the ship and kind of shakes her head like, I do not know why you'd want to have anything to do with that fucking thing.
Well,
And she starts to roll a cigarette.
I know this whole thing is like a dream and everything, but still, it would be really useful to have a ship, especially if we pulled into the port of Dilathleen with the Bloodwind. That would probably give us some political cash.
I imagine that controlling it is the issue.
Yeah, but you've got a pretty strong willpower, right? Or maybe you, Dabs?
This is the most unnatural thing I've ever seen in my life. What?
And I've seen some shit.
I don't know. Yes, it would be good to have a ship that can take us into wherever we need to go without us having to do the ritual. Is that possible?
As far as you know, that could be possible.
And then it would just be physically in the
So-
dreamlands.
No,
We were
not-
talking
not
about
a-
shopping. I was like, why would we need to do the
not
ritual?
a projected body, but that would be
Yeah, so
in
pros
the
and
flesh.
pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
A little more control over how you get there, but then you're really there, and if you die, that's where you died.
Yeah.
Alternately, maybe someone wants to buy this thing off of us.
But it can just disappear at any time.
There is that.
Not our problem. Buyer beware.
I'm wondering if detecting its thoughts, if it has thoughts, is a way to get more information to decide what to do.
I mean,
It may just disappear in the meantime, but
I-
I could try.
Yeah.
how are you feeling?
I'm all right.
I don't know. I don't like it. I think we should burn the fucker.
I'm inclined to agree with you, but perhaps we should know more before we decide. I'm gonna try it. It'll pass its will save, I'm sure.
Now, Dabwick could start doing detect magic on these things, but are you planning on sipping in a...
Do you have anything left?
Do you have any identify left?
I can take some time and prepare some extracts and do an identify.
Katie, Dora would know, as you all are talking this out, when you did a sort of deeper group dive into how does an intelligent magic item work. It is essentially treated, in the case of spells like this, as a construct.
So,
Constructs are immune to mind-affecting
okay.
effects. You know you won't be able to read its mind.
Dora slaps her forehead. What an idiot I am. Wasting all this time.
No, but it's
We've
also...
all been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. Let's give ourselves some fucking grace.
And seriously, too, even though we all, as players, over the decades we've played this game, have run into intelligent items, of course, from time to time, this is so fucking unique.
Yeah.
Your characters just don't know anything about this, and you're trying to rack out of your brains information you barely have from a life you don't even remember to even come up with any ideas of how this shit works. This thing is a true miracle, as far as you all are concerned.
I don't think showing up with it is going to be in our favor, right? I think it's going to be a big fucking target on us if we show up saying, hey, this is our thing to sell, when everyone knows it's not.
It is our thing to sell.
The cat mews.
Or it will be our thing to sell if we can come to some sort of negotiation with it, which I don't think is a given. It's hostile to us.
And we either burn it or we try to take it over. What do we want to do?
Personally, I am not going to attempt to commune with it in any way.
All right. How about you?
I can try. It's the best I can do.
Dabs was casting Detect Magic, is that right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what you're picking up auras off of. Vadrax's leather, Vadrax's scimitar. A potion in Vadrax's pouch. Daggerbatha's headband. A potion in Daggerbatha's pouch. All of the mercenaries' cloaks. And, of course, the fucking Bloodwind.
The trident is not.
The trident is not magic.
Is that an overwhelming aura?
It is, I believe, setting aside a star stella, the strongest aura of magic Dabwick has laid their eyes on. Do you wish to attempt to try to figure it out? To engage your senses with the riot of magical auras you see coming off of this intelligent ship? Through the mist, you can just barely see it from where you're standing inside the cabin of the Starling.
The flavor of the way that you're wording that, does Dabba get the sense that their sanity might be at risk?
It's always
Gosh,
a
I
risk.
don't know. What kind of campaign are we playing here? No, I'm just trying to make sure we're sitting in the zone of... It's one thing for Dabwick. Oh, yeah, a couple of probably cloaks of resistance. This is very mundane. The riot of auras coming off this thing is probably giving them the same pause that you all felt the first time you all tried to figure out the standing stones, you know?
Yeah.
You know, we could just try to talk to it first.
There is
and
that.
understand
There is that.
what it wants or can do.
It has remained quiet for the last chunk of time, but you know it's quite capable of speech.
I would like to continue to detect.
Oh, right.
Make the spellcraft check of your life.
I just drink an extract of Cure Light Wounds that I happen to have, so now I am all healed up as Vic.
Perfect. Give me a spellcraft check there, Polly.
Yeah. Whoa! Natural 20.
Hey,
With a plus 10, that's 30.
Boom.
That's fun. So Dabwick is like, all right, I'm going to focus, and then just like sinks into this perfect Zen place of capital U understanding, and all of the auras around them come to life. You're like, oh yeah, I know what all these things do. Oh, of course, that's +1 studded leather that Vadrak left behind. That's a +2 scimitar. Oh, elixir of hiding over there. Headband of alluring charisma +2. Potion of cure moderate wounds in Daggerbatha's pouch, and... holy fucking shit. Inside your mind, as Dabwick is parting these threads of magic and trying to like disentangle all of these auras and figure out what each individual little component piece does, they feel this nasty, sinking sense of dread start to fill them. They feel a chill through their bones, and they start to get this distant sense of hearing the screams of people being beaten. The deeper and deeper they probe these auras. But they're able to pull a little bit of information out of this mess. There's a lot of things you do already know. You know that it can propel its own sails with a wind that it can create. It can do this once per day, so it's done that already today. You know you can't do it again. It can sail through the air as with overland flight at will, but only when flying to or from the moon. And it can, in pursuit of its special purpose, which I think you wouldn't know from these auras, but you know that if it's doing what it was built to do, it can travel from the Dreamlands to either the material plane or the Plateau of Leng once per day, and can travel from either plane back to the Dreamlands once per day. I think the rest of you wouldn't know, but you're getting this strong sense that sinking yourself into the energy and auras that it's giving off is turning your stomach, and you're starting to hear things, and you start to smell Like, there's a reek of a lot of blood around you on the starling, but you start to smell more blood, different blood, old blood.
This is a slaver's ship.
Oh, you know what else you would know? That it has dark vision and blind sense.
All of those things that you just listed it can do, are those all things it can do under its own direction?
Yes.
As well as making the wind and furling its sails?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In many times, if it is in a symbiotic, you would know this from your thinking about intelligent items. If it's in a symbiotic relationship with its owner/controller, then the ship could do it or the owner could cause it to happen. But like right now by itself, it has full control over everything it can do. It can just do any of its stuff.
It does not need someone else to tell it to go to Leng.
No.
It could just fuck off.
Yes. And you also know, of
Abilities,
course, you also saw that, it was using all of the equipment that it had on its decks to effectively do CMB checks. It can use its action in any round to animate any object on its deck or in its hold to replicate any kind of CMB check. So disarm, bull rush, grapple, dirty trick, that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight it.
No.
Do you how much of that do you share with us?
I would share all of that with the team, with the wondering, does the blood of the enslaved feed this thing and give it its power? I don't know.
Can it be burned?
That's a good question. It appears to be made out of wood.
It appears to be made out of wood.
I feel like it's not too metagamey to be like normal magic items can be destroyed, but artifacts.
Right.
Yeah, and Dabwick would know because Dabwick has examined the auras of an artifact. Dabwick would know this is not an artifact.
Oh, okay.
It's a very powerful magic item,
Intelligent, powerful magic item, yeah.
but it is a magic item.
Okay.
As
Well-
far as I'm concerned, this thing should not exist.
The cat mews.
The cat, however, I do feel bad for. Perhaps we should get it on our ship.
I am going to go ahead and start mixing up some additional extracts.
Great. I think at this exact moment, while Vic is doing that, is specifically when Morningstar Guy drowns to death.
Morningstar what?
Morningstar dipshit. He's been like on the bottom of the river trying to drag his weary ass in his plate mill out of there.
armored ass.
Now he's dead. His
Let's
story
just all take a
story
moment
ends
of
here.
silence
Yes.
for Morningstar
His
Dipshit.
children will never go to college.
Does Dabwick voice their realization that this is a slaver ship?
Yeah.
I think that would steel Grip's resolve that we need to just do whatever we can to destroy this.
Stassi stands there holding her lit cigarette. Does anyone have kerosene or...
Do you want to attempt to search it first? Or talk to it?
No, it can just sit there and pelt us with shit on its deck. But I do want the cat.
The cat mews.
What do we know about familiars? Would they, shouldn't something... If it was, I'm making so many assumptions.
Yeah.
If it was Vadrag's familiar, should it not have disappeared? Or what is that relationship?
Familiars would not disappear. They're not summoned creatures. It would probably be in a great deal of emotional distress, which
Yeah.
I wouldn't categorize as what you're hearing right now. I think you're hearing kind of
Annoyance.
like annoyance and
So maybe
loneliness?
it's just the ship's cat. All right, Stassi's gonna walk to the edge of the rail and kind of see if she can get it to show itself.
you see a small calico cat leap up onto the rail. Short and stubby, kind of a curious, flat-ish face. Looking around, like what the fuck happened and where did everybody go? And kind of walks along the rail, like emerging from the mists, which are just, still just starting to dissipate, and stares over at the cluster of you on this other ship with a cocked,
Stassi make
curious
a,
head.
a sense motive check?
Yeah, sure.
I wish we had that gem of
no,
true
I'm sorry.
seeing.
Before she makes the sense motive check, she will use her detect evil ability
Oh, uh-huh.
just to make sure cat's not evil.
I mean, it is a cat.
I know, so it's neutral at best.
Chaotic fuck you.
Exactly.
So Stasi does not pick up any aura of evil coming off of the cat. However, Stasi has a mirror experience to Dabwick's in, okay, I'm going to open myself up to something and start analyzing what I see. Holy fucking hell. The waves of evil coming off of this ship. She starts to hear people screaming in pain and like being whipped and beaten. The creak of oars and the screams of people being keel hauled.
She lets it go.
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming.
And kind of staggers back a little bit.
But the cat doesn't seem to be evil.
All right, she got a 25 sense motive check on the cat.
I would say this. She's picking up a lot of confusion and concern from the animal, and what she would probably categorize as an unusual level of intelligence in the eyes.
So familiar, like.
That could certainly be
Keeps
one
explaining
possibility.
it, yeah. So she'll crouch down and kind of make herself accessible, keep eye contact with it, making that. I'm trying to summon it over.
So it mews and
She
then
relaxes.
looks like up towards the front of the ship,
Maybe it's the ship's familiar.
towards the figurehead it can't see, presumably. And then looks back, kind of looks around at all of you, and then like sits its rump down as if I'm going to watch and see what they do.
All the knowledge checks we did about the ship, it listed kind of who the main players of the crew are. Was there anyone that we knew about that was not accounted for in the recent fight?
No, but right, Vic did spend a lot of time reading that one book on the first night. You know what I'm gonna say? So like, as Vic has been focused on, getting these extracts together, doing a little bit of curing, coming out and joining this group looking at this cat. Let's say, yeah, just to honor that night that Johnny kind of threw away reading the book. Oh yeah, I think at some point I read about how the ship had picked up a ratting cat named Luna.
Like a regular cat that just kills rats on a ship.
Yeah, very much a whatever's beyond tertiary character in that story. Just like flavor,
Yeah.
like, and also there was this cat, Luna, that was taking care of the extreme amount of vermin that were attracted to this vessel whenever it stayed in any port.
Well, Vic is going to posit a couple things as he's drinking some extracts.
If the ship can only pass over into the dimension of dreams while trying to do its primary thing, then it probably has something to do with piracy or slavery or pillaging or something like that. Which means that if we leave it here, then it's going to do that and then try to make an escape, which means it's going to try to attack somebody else on the river. But if we can control it, then we can put it in our pocket and keep it safe.
Stasi hears that and again shakes her head. This is extremely evil.
And at that, he drinks a couple extracts. When I'm looking over there and I look at the cat, does it have any magical emanations?
No.
Great.
Hey, Luna, you want to come over here?
Do we know what the process of folding the ship up to put it in your pocket is?
It has to be your item,
Gotcha.
and then it's just a command word. So you have to actually take control of the vessel to do that. But it's just a standard action. Piece of cake. Easy peasy. Luna jumps over to the Starling, stands on the rail, looks up at all of you, and kind of wanders off towards the front of the ship. Checking it out,
We
sniffing.
have new cat. Now ship is safe to set on fire.
Anybody got anything to set it on fire with?
I mean, Barnabas has Scorching Ray. I don't know if that is enough to set wood on fire.
The key element that would be required here is like some
Kerosene.
sort of oil,
Accelerant of some
which of
kind.
course is on the ship. So if your goal is to try to get a pile of oil over on that ship and light some of it on fire, that would certainly be something that you all could take the time to do.
Do we want to search its decks?
I mean, if you go over there, you're subject to its attacks,
Right.
which door is not going to do, but, have at.
Right. 'Cause it will attack.
Well, I mean, I guess we would
You
be able
don't
to.
know if it will attack.
We would be able to now look at the decks and see if there's anything on there of value.
So the part of the deck that you can see, which as you go back and forth on the Starling and as the fog is dissipating, it looks as though everything has, for the most part, been stowed or battened down for combat, just leaving enough things out that the ship could manipulate to do stuff if it was required to do so. But you can't obviously see below decks. But it looks like, the upper deck, it's where combat happens on a longship, right? So they kind of cleared it of stuff.
So the question is, do we want to go and try to see if there's any more goodies on this ship to pillage from it before we try to destroy it?
Or anyone in the old.
Well, detect thoughts might tell us that.
Well, it only goes through how much wood? Or
3 feet.
okay.
So Dora will try that, walking up and down the ship for that 60-foot emanation to see if there are any other thinking creatures on the ship.
Hate to set fire to it and then discover there are
People on board? Yeah.
3 feet of wood or dirt. Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, it does look like, given the thickness of the ship, all of your detect spells would all go through that wood. So do you want to just use them all and just kind of like do a
evil thoughts, magic, psychic significance? But she's ready to yank away if she starts feeling the pain of 1,000,000 deaths upon the deck of the ship.
And I will say, with my identify rolling, I got a natural 20 for a total of 47.
Ooh.
What was left to identify?
There
Just
might
in
be
case.
something on the
Okay.
ship.
So during this process, as the mist is thinning out and you all are very, very carefully deciding just how long is it before we're going to do something to this, we're going to search, we're going to use all of our various spells, you are now able to catch sight of the figurehead. And again, it's this like super, super tall, bulbous, puffy, elephant-like thing with no eyes, long elephant trunk surrounded by tentacles. And its arms are currently crossed, and its head is turning over and looking at all of you. But it doesn't, since you have not yet spoken to it, it just seems to be watching and waiting to see what you're going to do. But it is 100% watching and waiting. And Dabwick knows that it has been able to see you the entire time. It didn't need its figurehead to see you, but now that it has something to sort of like reference at you, it's staring at you.
Daring us to do something.
Yeah, it kind of feels a little like that. So here's what you pick up. You do pick up one magical aura in a what seems to be a forward hold, and analyzing the aura, it is magic that has a kinship to the way a folding boat works. It is magic designed to, almost TARDIS-like, contain more of stuff than it should within itself.
So like a bag of holding or something
like that. But without being able to see the item itself, you just are like, I know what this magic does. It makes more go into less. But I can't, you can't see the item. You would also pick up no additional auras of evil, so no need to like dive into anything further. Like the evil of this ship is the ship itself. Dora does pick up a small faint glow of psychic significance coming from something like a very small little mote of light shining through the walls of the forward hold. So like kind of in the same room where this magic item is, there is something that is registering to Dora as significant.
So she says this quietly to everyone. I could attempt to speak with it, negotiate passage over there to find these things. I don't hold great hope for it, but
Let's do it.
so she's gonna take off the hat of disguise and hand it back to Dabwick. Thank you for that.
The figurehead. Yes! Brought low by the one he came to destroy. He's saying this in Aklo, so only a handful of you that...
Dora responds, "This pleases you."
There is a wonderful justice in this. You were his downfall as he sought to be yours.
This is so encouraging. What do you wish to do now?
I sense many living souls beneath your decks. Bring them to me, mistress, and we shall carry them to the overlords.
I'd like to send over a contingent to examine your hold.
All that is on mine is yours for now. Come, stand upon me, mistress.
I don't trust you enough to go myself.
Then send your flunkies.
Not translating this exactly.
Which of the worthless pieces of meat will you send to soil my deck?
Barnabas's ears are twitching. What is this flunky?
Yeah, I'll go do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You jumping over?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
You want me to come
This
with
is all
you?
a dream. I pop an extract of expeditious retreat so that I can
Moving
move
quickly.
like the
Nice.
wind.
Yeah.
Nice.
You follow
Trying to see if I have anything for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow with him.
Any other busts from dabs? Or have you used all your shit?
Yeah, I got nothing.
Our minutes per level buffs, are those now gone? Shield, things like that?
So you would have 10 minutes or longer, 1 minute per level gone.
Great.
And then Vic and Gripper
Amazing.
vault over. Just picture this in slow motion, leaping through the air from one rail to the next, while down below the dead, bloated face of the dipshit looks up at them and kind of floats a little bit by, and then they land on the deck that had so previously been covered in black tentacles and vines, but now is completely clear. The instant your feet hit that deck, the two of you throw up in your mouths. This feeling of hearing faint half hallucinations of anguish becomes you are hearing a god-awful full-on riot of people screaming. The air just reeks of blood. As you look around, the deck itself seems to have been soaked in it, and you can almost sense the presence of everybody who's ever been beaten or slain or taken on this deck. You're able to operate, but you're getting a really sinking feeling in the pit of your stomachs that interacting too closely with this thing might be debilitating for the two of you. But for right now, no mechanical effect, but it is an overwhelming emotional sensation.
Maybe hurry.
Start moving towards whatever appears to be an area to be able to go down.
There is a ship's ladder that looks like it heads right down to the front of the ship below. Heading down that thing, you find a long, low bay for rowing. And it looks, the ceiling is such that a humanoid would have to not squat, but bend over a little bit. Like anybody who had been taken and lived their life down here would never in their life be able to stand up fully straight. And it's just row after row of benches covered in blood, rusty, blood-soaked manacles, and then oars currently inside and stowed. But there is what looks to be a small cabin up front. There is a closed door right near the bottom of these stairs.
Check it out.
Give me a perception check.
I do want to ask the ship a question when there's a moment.
Yes, mistress.
What is your special purpose?
We all serve the slave trade of Lang, do we not?
Oh, yes, of course.
I wish to believe you. Tentacles writhing. What'd you get, Johnny?
25 or 28, checking for traps.
It does not seem to be trapped, but the door is locked. And you know what? You had Vadrak's stuff, so you would have found a key. You've got a key.
Unlock it.
There is what seems to be, so now this is a long ship. These are mostly designed for combat, not for long-term living. So this is not a cabin of the quality of Skywinds on the Starling. It seems to be a small space that the owner of the ship could string up a hammock and keep a small amount of goods, which is what you find there. You find a collection of books. Only two really stand out to you. A logbook, maybe the logbook for the ship. It is written in Aklo, and with just a quick pick up of it, this is unquestionably the magic aura you sought, because you pick this thing up, and it's small and thin, and you open it up, and it seems to have thousands of pages inside of it. Like it has been recording the story of this ship for centuries in Aklo, in this really dense, complicated Aklo. But it looks like if you wanted to sit down, maybe spend an afternoon reading through this, you could start to get a sense of what activities were recorded in this.
Sure.
You find another book that catches your eye because it's the only one that is not written in Aklo. Your eye kind of passes over it quickly at first, but then it's like you're drawn to the particular shade of the yellow leather that the exterior of it has been crafted from. And just a quick, cautious peek inside of it. It is written in a language that uses the Aklo alphabet, but you cannot read any of it. So it is some other language, but you know the characters. So it's like, okay, if I wanted to figure this out,
A linguistics check.
I might be able to try to dive into that as well. And then the only other thing of note that you find down there is moving with the motion of the ship as it's rocking on the glass river here in these early morning hours here. There is a small glass vial, maybe like 2 inches tall, that is kind of tinking back and forth, rolling with the motion of the ship. And give me a perception check.
Ooh, 35.
Your eyes pick up faint traces of silver dust lining the rim of it. It seems to have at one time contained powdered silver. Give me a spellcraft check.
35.
Powdered silver is a fairly common spell component used in certain kinds of summoning spells, calling spells, that sort of thing.
So summoning like probably some sort of evil outsider that would be contained by this, or some sort of fey outsider.
Yeah, but like you don't, when you think of the spells that like a magus uses, that's not their bag. Their bag is combat spells, movement spells, damage spells. Their spell package does not typically contain higher level summoning spells.
What about a green, slimy, trident-wielding possible cleric or something else?
Possible.
Okay. I mean, so some other spellcaster either was here or might have been here, or is still here if that was Luna. But we don't. There was no ability to recognize that Luna was magical in any way, so that was there was no magic on Luna that would have been like transformation or anything like that.
Oh, right. No, you would have noticed that.
Okay.
No. Luna is a cat.
Okay.
You have between the sense motive check and the 2 detect magic checks and the detect evil check, Luna is a cat.
Grab it and take it with us in case it has a story to tell. Maybe.
Okay.
Keep going through this place as quickly as possible.
That's what you find there.
Let's get the fuck off the ship.
It feels so gross to walk around this place.
All right, yeah, let's hop on off.
And then we hop off, and do we have like a barrel or 2 of oil or anything like that?
I wouldn't say a barrel, but yeah, you've got the means to throw some flasks of oil over onto the ship.
So then I would say that we just go.
We got to put a couple supplies on the ship here real quick before we can start on the great endeavor. Come on, Grip, give me a hand with these.
Hey.
We're just gonna set those right up in the center.
We need some food and stuff before we start pillaging.
Give me a bluff check.
31.
All right. The figurehead watches you load some shit over there.
Q Barnabas?
All right. Anything else we need?
Oh, yes, those things in the cabin. Remember, you'd best come back and get them.
All right.
Hop back aboard.
Yep.
And we'll see you later.
Give me a range attack roll there for Barnabas, Robert.
Stasi
so
is
this
going to
is-
throw her cigarette just
For flavor,
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
So this is from the wand, from the Scorching Ray wand.
Great.
17.
So Stasi's cigarette tumbles in slow motion through the air as you see Barnabas raise this willow wand, say a quick command word, and in slow motion this gouting jet of flame sears out of it. The cigarette and the flame hit the oil at the same time. Roll some damage there for me, Robert.
a 15 fire.
And with just an eruption of black smoke and the reek of blood, you hear the figurehead just scream in agony and then vanish off of this plane of existence, leaving behind the space in the water, the displaced space where, it's like boom, boom, she splashes back up, disrupting the corpse of the asshole in the bottom of the sea. And then there's a cloud of black, reeking smoke behind it. But you did a crap ton of damage with that. And wherever it went, it's still burning at the moment. All right, so you have one clearly Bloodwind logbook written in Aklo. You have another book encased in yellow leather written in some language that springs from Aklo, and then you got this vial of silver dust.
May Dora look at the yellow
Absolutely.
Aklo-ish
Please.
Ask book for a linguistics check?
So as Dora flips through this, we can tell Katie and Johnny and I think, and now Barnabas, whoever wants to maybe make a project out of this. This will be a longer-term project involving linguistic checks to see if you can start to parse this out and figure it out.
It's
shooting towards learning this language by the time you level. So we can talk about,
Dora would like to do that if no one objects, because she's out of other projects.
Well, she's teaching Gosa how to read. She's got that one going
and there's some therapy that she can do,
Yeah.
but
She needs something to focus
she
on.
needs an isolated project.
But we do know that Barnabas, he's been using his time while they sleep
Maybe
doing
they can
this,
do that
this kind of
together.
stuff. They could possibly both do it on their own time.
Hey.
And we know Vic is not spending too much time on projects while he still is mad, but if he decides to change his mind, this will be there for him. And then it looks like the Bloodwind logbook is just, if you speak Aklo and you want to dedicate an 8-hour block of time to it, I can start to give you some information.
Completely fucking miserable for 8 hours.
You
Read
can.
about the death and torture of several thousands of
You sure
living
can.
beings.
It would be
Sounds
very
great.
easy to start at the back, the most recent events, and just sort of fill yourself in on.
Dora would probably want to look for the section about Tima.
Sure. And then the vial of silver dust. And as this comes back over to the ship, Dora is able to recognize the shape of
the
that
significance?
aura that was penetrating through the hull.
You got a massive spellcraft check on that, didn't you, Vic?
It is not magical. It seems to have been used. It seems to be the remnant of something.
Well then, I could do a thing on it. Remember that thing I can do?
Yes, I do.
haven't done it in like a billion years.
We last did it on that tattoo
tattoo
needle,
needle, right?
that we found
Yeah.
in the Enchanted
That's
Forest.
Right.
Also
May I hold
seemingly
on to this
discarded.
for that purpose.
Yeah, that's why I pulled it.
Thank you.
So this would probably be about the point as that ship goes away and you all relax a little bit up there, that the folks down below would be knocking up on the whole, is it okay to come out and all that kind of stuff. Real dark mood, lots of downcast eyes. And then Skywind would probably need to be taken to her cabin. She's in a real bad way.
I forget, did we lose anyone?
Nobody was lost. And actually not a ton of hit point damage done compared to how bad it could have been.
Right.
But the drain.
The
and
drain is
and the
something you
sanity
just
is
have
really
no
a
way
problem.
to deal with, and then the sanity problem as well. Okay, so we're able to get Skywind back to her bed and starting to get her comfortable as everyone's going to figure out how to deal with her situation. But you have all this stuff left over from the fight has now been identified. Let's split some of that stuff up so we know where it's going before we figure out how we're going to handle the rest of our day here. So we have this studded leather, +1 studded leather, made out of denizen of Langhide. I'm assuming nobody's taken that.
No.
No.
+2 scimitar.
You'd have a scimitar to match your vorpal one.
How scimitar, what is the damage on a scimitar?
1d6.
1d6.
1d6. So,
But
it's the same as Red Destiny, so
But it is a bigger threat range and is a different kind of damage.
Slashing.
yeah, if no one else wants it, Grip will take it, but is that something...
Druids can also use scimitars, I think.
Dabwick is not the melee fighter that we all wish they were.
Let's not give them anything to encourage that behavior.
Yeah. Let's keep him a sling toad.
So there's an elixir of hiding. which is plus 10 competence bonus on stealth checks for 1 hour.
I will take that because I can later on take an extract that allows me to reuse that over and over and over.
Alchemical allocation.
That's it.
And then Daggerbatha had this kind of coral blue colored headband of alluring charisma plus 2. I know we already have one of those floating around the party. Does somebody else have a use for that?
Barnabas would definitely benefit. That would bump him up to 18 on his charisma.
That seems like a great place for that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
What is he, Daggerbatha? This charisma-based bullshit.
You all saw him cast Magic Missile. You all saw him use Evocation Lightning Magic.
He's a sorcerer.
He's a sorcerer.
Yawn.
And then Daggerbatha also had a potion of Cure Moderate Wounds.
How messed up his grip. Or do we hang on to that?
You hang on to it.
We
To
hang on
use
to
in the
it.
Dreamlands.
To use in the Dreamlands.
I mean, yes, we should definitely do that. But just for your information, grip is at 52 of 88 hit points.
I could absolutely treat deadly wounds on you.
How many uses left in your kit?
Oh, God, mother.
I think you're almost done. You might have to wait. See.
Let's see. How many do I have? I've got 4 uses left, so I could heal you, and that would give us two uses left. Which I think, considering that you're down to like 50-some hit points, seems like a
I'll take it.
worthwhile use of that.
Down to 50-something.
I'm just as Nargal made me. I mean, wait. Why did I say that?
Got a 27, so that means
So that is 16 plus. Did you hit your threshold to add your ability modifier, Johnny?
I did.
And
So
what ability
plus
modifier is added?
It's plus another 2.
Okay. 18.
Ready? Thank you.
You recover from Daggerbatha and the mercenaries a total of 378 gold pieces. You've got 4 cloaks of resistance plus 1. Some of those could easily be divvied out to backup buddies at this point, whoever's not wearing one.
Yeah, Barnabas will definitely take.
All right, well, then I'll give one to Stanhope.
Yeah, give one to him. And save one for Neb.
And you said plus 1, right?
Plus 1, yeah. 5 masterwork weapons between Daggerbatha and the mercenaries that you can add to the kitty there, Johnny. And then you do also find in a pouch on Vadrak's belt 10 giant, identical, completely flawless rubies. All perfectly identical in size and appearance, with an absolute lack of any imperfections or inclusions. Give me knowledge planes. Dorish will probably crush this one.
Stasi did get a natural 20 for a 35, and Dora got a 26.
23.
So these are called Leng rubies. First time this group ever encountered them was in like the penultimate episode of the first act. Remember, you surprised those bodyguards up on the second floor who were fucking around with a deck of divination cards? And there was one of the cards in there was called the Trader, Trader, and it depicted a denizen of Leng, which you all didn't know really what that was at the time, except that you knew it looked like the stranger, and there were these perfect rubies spilling out of her hands on this picture. That's what these are. The denizens of Leng are famous for paying with these. They are mined on a desolate part of the plateau of Leng, and they are used specifically as currency by the denizens. They're often used to purchase goods.
Like between themselves or dealing with others? Groups? Okay.
So they are mined in Leng and brought to the real world, where they then become these, because so each of them, there are 10 of them, each of them is worth exactly 500 gold pieces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's 5,000 gold pieces worth of rubies.
Sweet.
So then, we are just in the beginning of
the day.
of what would be the morning block. But I think the morning block today is probably dedicated to getting all this organized, cleaning up the mess, you had a massive combat in the room where Vic, Gosa, Reuben, and Harlar do all their work and keep all their shit. It's probably scattered all over the place. There's probably hours and hours worth of work to do to just get the ship cleaned up and get things organized again. As Skywind is also being tended to. And so at some point in this chunk of time, Polly, I think Skywind would probably take a second of your time.
You know, J-Dove told me that this trip would be dangerous and that I'd need friends. But she didn't say that the friends that I found would be the ones to bring the danger upon me. Deborah, you know that I love you. You know I believe in you. Look me in the eyes. Tell me this is worth it.
Yeah, I'm kind of shook by that question, and so I imagine Dabwick is as well.
Mm-hmm.
And to look at their friend and see the state they're in, emaciated from constitution drain, is it worth it? Skywind, this is the only way. But look, you were never intended to be hurt, and I'm so sorry this happened to you. We're going to try to make it better.
I will always stand up and fight for my ship. I'm not as concerned about this specific wound, but as the pattern that's developed over the last week or so. Is this particular threat over?
This creature, what was hunting us, we've eliminated that threat for now. I don't think it's coming back.
Who else is out there following you? Who else out there is hunting you?
Right now, I think we got it.
Note the minute mark in this episode.
So, I know the four of you have yet to puzzle out the mysteries of what the future contains for you, but as far as you know, nothing is going to be hunting my ship any further. You'll be able to continue to do what it is you do at night for how long in the immediate future? How long will this go on, Debs? How many of these quests are you doing?
We have 4 more items to hunt for.
And you need them all.
I think my team is gunning for all of them.
All right. We're less than a week from Zur, mate. The restocking trip there usually takes about 2 hours. Be putting some thought into if there's anything else you need. Is there anything you can do to help me with this?
She just looks down at her wasted, emaciated form.
Yeah.
Or help yourselves. Put some thought into it. Have a plan. Because Zur is not friendly to outsiders. You'll have to move quickly. Because every hour my ship stays there, the docking fees go up exponentially. Foreigners are not welcome there.
Understood, Skywind, and if we do need to stay for any reason, you won't be the only one paying that fee. We can pay our own way.
All right then. Joshua and Vildi will be in charge until I'm back on my feet. As you were, sailor.
So Dabwick comes out of Skywind's hold, I imagine, a little shook.
Yeah.
We know that Vic has been using the hill skill to sort of tend to folks. Gripper is probably helping the other crew members get things organized and recovered. Does Dora have an immediate thing she wants to tend to?
Yeah, Dora would like to take that emptied vial of silver dust and do psychometry on it downstairs.
by herself while everyone is...
Anybody's welcome to sit in, but she's not great at moving things, so...
Yeah.
It's Grip's time to shine.
Moving things.
She'll let Grip have this one. And do her
Toting and lifting.
I like this one being maybe the first private
Okay.
psychometry.
I've got spells today, too, so she's going to use that burst of insight right before everything completes.
Okay. So Dora not sneaks, but sort of steals downstairs to check this object out while everyone's busy with other things, thinking, oh, I'll just quickly sort of like figure out what the deal with this is. Sits down in the front hold, which, still in her mind was all broken apart and destroyed because that's how you thought it was when you, quote, woke up, but you never actually went to sleep. Like, so you're still dealing with some overlapping. All that shit that we did when we first started going after Vedrak actually didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's
that
a
wasn't
little
even
jarring
real. Yeah.
Going downstairs. Before we do this,
Yeah.
I would like to put Dora's suspicion in that this actually belonged to Tima.
Okay. So she sits down with her glowing crystal as her Eon stone circles endlessly around her head, shedding that red and blue light. Give me that perception check.
Well, that's a 20. And she is stunned for a round as this comes through.
I bet she will be stunned.
Oh, I love it.
Just, slipping downstairs, just to quick get this over with, see what the deal is.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to make sanity checks.
Sits down, kind of wrestles with the, the room is fine. All my stuff wasn't touched. These books weren't torn open. The footlocker wasn't completely ransacked. There is no hole in the hall. It's all good. Shoo! You're in a chamber of dark stone. Shelves line the walls, covered in tomes. Counters and workspaces as well, covered in remnants. Eyes, organs, vials of liquid, red, black, and white. Neatly parceled globs of fatty tissue. Small boxes filled with hair. Small boxes filled with teeth, hooves, horns, hearts. A girl stands in the corner, barefoot in a wet smear of filth. She's bruised and splattered with blood, though the blood doesn't appear to be all hers. Though she answers now to Tima, she still thinks of herself as Anathema. Anathema is no longer 9 years old, not by a long shot. She's more adolescent than child. She's in a period of transition. She watches closely as Razanil works. The middle-aged wizard carefully, so carefully, pours a line of powdered silver from a small glass vial into the shape of a perfect circle on the floor. He seems pleased with himself. He always seems pleased with himself. His wealth and his magical knowledge have afforded him a life of absolute power and absolute control. He takes what he wants, he gets what he wants. He is a living monument to hubris and self-satisfaction. And he does not, will not ever teach Anathema what she wants to learn. She watches the gestures, she listens to the words, and because her memory is near photographic, she can repeat so many of them almost perfectly. But because he refuses her access to the books, the precious, precious books, she can't get the complete picture. She can't learn the theories, so she'll never cast a spell as long as she lives, and it's all she wants. It is, in fact, the only thing she wants. She has given up on any hope of freedom. She has given up on a normal life. She's given up on finding her family. All she wants is the knowledge of magic. And maybe, finally, today is the day. You see, Razanil must recast his Dominate spell on her every 19 days. Every 19 days, the cycle begins anew. He casts the spell. Her actions are no longer her own. Her mind is. He leaves her mind intact so she can fully experience and suffer the degradations and humiliations of her life. But over the preceding years, Anathema's will has grown stronger and stronger, and as she knew would happen one day, she resisted. And that day was this morning. And it's such a big day, you see. Razanil has so much on his mind, and Anathema is an expert liar. And in his hubris, He didn't even notice that the spell hadn't taken. He gave her some quick verbal commands, which she immediately followed, but he didn't try to look through her eyes. He didn't try to feel what she was feeling. He just trusted that his magic worked, like it always works, and he went on with his preparations for the ritual at hand.
A client has requested a necrocide. Fetch the onyx anathema while I'll prepare the ritual.
And so she collected the small black stones and returned to her spot in the corner. And she watches as Razendil finishes scribing the circle of powdered silver. When he's done, he opens his hand and releases the small glass vial that had once contained the powder, and she scrambles forward to catch it before it shatters on the ground. She only had to learn that lesson once. She tucks the vial into the pocket of her dirty frock and rubs it for good luck. The incantations for the planar binding spell take 10 minutes for Razendil to complete, and then with a roar of hellfire, the Prince Killer, the Assassin of Souls, the Salakotl Devil appears inside the magic circle. On lean limbs, the color of spilt blood, creeps a being of sinister grace. Eyes like embers and a sneer full of needle-thin teeth gleam from an unrelentingly fiendish visage. A pair of crimson wings sprout from the back of this hairless humanoid form, fluttering silently like an assassin's cloak. While in one hand, the devil clutches the twisted, dagger-like horn of some infernal terror. The devil stares impassively at Razendil. They've done this so many times. Anathema knows that the creature enjoys its work and that it craves the gems it takes in payment. Rubies for fideicide, the slaying of faith, onyx for necrocide, the slaying of death, and jacinth for omnicide, the utter slaying, the slaying eternal. But Anathema knows that this creature is just as proud as Razendil, and that this forced servitude, this continuous domination, must be eating the creature alive. Next comes Razendil's favorite part of these rituals. Knowing that it will damn her eternal soul, he forces her to speak the names and hand the devil its payment. He forces her to unleash death upon someone she has never met, someone who has done her no wrong.
Tima, the target's name is Procamos Nuberos. Speak it. Pay him.
And then, proud and careless, fully confident in his dominate spell, fully confident in his binding magic, Razendil sits back and watches as Anathema steps forward to the edge of the circle. She extends her left hand with the velvet sack of onyx stones. Her right hand in her pocket rubs the glass vial one last time for luck, and she does it! And it's so easy this time. Killing. And this time, it's a choice. It's a choice made for knowledge. As she tosses the bag of stones through the air to the creature, the toes of her left foot sweep forward and scatter the powdered silver across the floor as she says,
Razendil.
The devil claws the velvet bag out of the air, vanishes, and instantaneously appears across the room, its black horn dagger buried deep in the wizard's neck. Razendil sinks slowly to the floor, coughing and sputtering and hacking up blood. Anathema walks over to the devil's side, stands over Razendil.
Now we're both done with him.
The Salakotl devil crouches down over Razendil, stares deeply in his eyes as it slowly, excruciatingly drives the dagger into his heart. Then the light goes out of Razendil's eyes, and almost instantaneously the wizard begins to rot. His mask shrinks, his skin blackens, patches of his skin slough off, gobs of hair fall out, teeth tumble out of his mouth, his tongue shrivels up into a dry, spongy black nub, and his eyeballs collapse into puddles of goo and leak sideways down his face onto the filthy floor.
Give me control.
The devil smiles and nods. It places its clawed hand on the corpse's forehead, and dim red lights sputter to life inside Razendil's empty eye sockets. The zombie groans in pain and rage and nearly mindless, nearly, but not quite mindless, incomprehension of what has happened to it. And it sits up.
Fetch me... Fetch me whatever book you started learning magic from.
Groaning and howling, the zombie rises and shambles across the room to one of the shelves with a clumsiness that's almost painful to watch, but a little satisfying. It paws at a collection of books, eventually knocking a swath of them onto the counter below, and awkwardly it kind of paws up one particular tome, drags itself back across the room, and extends the tome to Anathema.
Now, go and stand in the corner. I'll let you know when you're needed.
And when Wherein returns to Raznil's tower 5 days later, this is how she finds Anathema, sitting cross-legged on the floor, tome of magic open in her lap, muttering to herself, rolling an empty glass vial back and forth in her hand, an unconscious gesture of some sort, something to keep her hands busy while her brain is working 1,000 miles an hour. Eventually, Anathema looks up, sees the stranger. You did this. Anathema merely nods. And then, to her surprise, Wherein howls a hideous cackle of glee. It lasts an uncomfortably long time, and the sound of her hollow, bitter laughter echoes through the chamber of dark stone until the vision fades. That's the end of chapter 121. We'll pick up next time.
That's good psychometry.
Dark Nexus is produced by Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's fan content policy. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's Paizo.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Syrinscape. Check them out at Syrinscape.com. That's Syrinscape.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Derek, Darren, Michaela, J.H., the Biscuit Buddies, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
You know what we're fighting here? We're fighting a couple 2-3 tigers.
Heyo.
Is that a reference to something?
No, it's just, it's like the Chicago 3, but it's a couple two tree tigers.
two
couple
trees.
2-3 tigers over by there.
Oh, tree tigers.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah, see?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks for taking the time to explain it to
That's
me.
the sign of a good joke.